I do definitely agree. So without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's go directly into game two right now.
Welcome to TeamSpeak, advanced voice communication software for any platform. TeamSpeak allows groups of people to communicate and share information with anyone, via the internet or through private networks. Using your Windows, Mac or Linux-based computer, all you need is a headset with microphone, and in minutes you can be chatting with others in real time, using our crystal clear voice technology.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. As I almost die inhaling on my water, we do have our next match right now, which is MYM.ClouD versus ThorZaIN Game 2, with MYM.ClouD spawning in the bottom left position as that red Terran player. And in the top right, we have Prae.ThorZaIN as the blue Terran. Now, exactly what you were talking about before, Chill, the idea about mobility on this map. On Metalopolis, there's really only 2 lanes for ground attacks to move through. But as we see on this map, it's just sort of spread out all over the place. So it's very, very difficult to really constrict movement. You can't place a couple tanks here and a couple tanks there and trust that you will shut your opponent down. So really, it's the heavy mobility is what you need to be going for. And it's kind of ambiguous with Tank Hellion as to like the proper way to play on this map.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you want to just sit in the middle of the map and control space, but as you said, there's so many ways to run around. I mean, if we look at the path into ThorZaIN's main base, Cloud can run out of his natural and take the western route very easily. More common thing to run around the eastern end, and he's got this back entrance as well. Really difficult to control that space. So as you know, as the tank heavy space controlling player, you want to start spreading out your army, but that just leads to, you know, the mobile marine heavy army scanning, seeing you're a little bit weak in this one location, stimming, and then your line is completely broken. So really difficult. It can work, but I think the marine heavy style has a little bit of an advantage on this map.
Definitely. We do see Cloud actually not going to be going for any sort of early expand, just going for the usual fast gas style. We also see ThorZaIN going again for that fast gas style. One thing to note about this map is how open the edge of your cliff is. For instance, if we go up to ThorZaIN's base and just head down to the southern end of his main, we can see that there is direct access from the ground area of the map to that high ground. So there's a lot of Reaper plays that can actually be effective later in the game. Or just more generally, any sort of tank pushing or Hellion dropping or medevac dropping, very easy to bounce in there, retreat, and reinforce.
Yeah, for sure. Gonna be interested to see when they take their second gas, of course, as ThorZaIN gets up to 100 gas. Probably gonna drop that factory. There it goes right below the barracks after second Marine out to deny any scouting. Cloud also having 2 Marines out, third one on the way. Factory on the way and getting his second geyser now. ThorZaIN following suit, just throwing up the APM tab for interestings. One mom. I don't know whose mom that is, but that's very classy in the middle of a teal open. But throwing up the APM tab looks like Cloud flexing his Brood War muscle, averaging 230. Meanwhile, ThorZaIN down at 120 in the early game stages.
Not that he doesn't have muscles to flex, they're just, they're just not Brood War muscles.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Take that, non-nostalgic people. So we do see ThorZaIN now transferring that factory to the tech lab, doing a little lift and scoot action. Wants to get those tanks up ultra quickly. It's definitely going to eat into his marine count quite a bit, so that means that ThorZaIN will be forced to be a little bit more passive early on. And we can even see ThorZaIN looks like saving up money. He's not spending any on his marines. Could be the fact that he's supply blocked, but would not be surprised to see an early expansion pop up, as we do see, yep, there's the SCV getting ready to gear up and plant down a command center.
Yeah, interesting. He's got that first tank on the way, but no siege mode, and seems really vulnerable to Banshee play, which it looks like that's exactly what Cloud is going as he switches over the tech lab, going to make his first Banshee, or is it actually going to be a Raven? Nothing on the way here as he approaches 200 gas. Maybe a Raven, actually. Or maybe nothing.
Maybe he's just showing us. No, he's getting the cloak upgrade. A lot of players love getting cloak and then the Banshee, so that way Whenever that Banshee does pop out, it does have that cloak ability up and running, and it looks like ThorZaIN now getting a reactor and a starport, going to be going for the usual mix of goodness in the Terran mid game. That Marine Viking style, or he could even be going for double Viking. Ooh, that would be a very, very cool little twist to see that happen. Haven't really gotten to see that in quite some time, as players are just totally obsessed with big numbers of Marines these days.
Yeah, for sure. And the Banshee actually on the way for Cloud, so this could shut it down really easily. It's going to be interesting to see where the Vikings actually end up intercepting the Banshee and where it's forced to use Cloak. If it gets all the way to the main base, well, it doesn't really matter if you have infinite Vikings. It's the scan that's really gonna shut that down. ThorZaIN turning his expansion into an orbital command before he floats it out. May not float it out, actually doing a little bit of Hellion harassment, but a lot of Terrans these days, if they're the first one to expand, they don't really float out that orbital until they're absolutely sure that the natural is secure. Banshee floating up the western edge, now going to move into the natural pretty quickly. Cloak is not complete, but for all intents and purposes is complete, as it's just finishing up now.
So it looks like ThorZaIN's 2 Vikings are just hanging out by the natural expansion, going to try to be able to intercept the Banshee. We see the Hellion from ThorZaIN. Didn't really kill off anything on his little trip, but that's fine. He's going to come back, get repaired, and he can go out and do it again, that little slugger. It looks like the Banshee, though, is advancing forward. It's going to be trying to swing in, and it's going to begin shooting at the ramp, but oh no, does he have enough scan? It looks like there he's able to get a few shots off, and see you later, Banshee.
Second Banshee going to come in, but, you know, the first one really, really ineffective, and now that ThorZaIN knows Cloak is... Whoa! Okay, that was Cloud actually scanning. I thought ThorZaIN scanned himself
yeah, just making sure he's not messing up.
Yeah. So, I mean, now that he knows Cloak is finished, he's going to know to save scans. We can see he's almost got 1 at his natural, almost got 2 at the main. Banshee pre-cloaking to fly in, and let's see how much this Banshee gets done as it flies into the natural. Gonna hit the tank. Vikings immediately react. He's gonna get it out of there. No, completely shut down. But I mean, Cloud is getting his expansion up, but he's donating a lot of units over to the ThorZaIN charity in the early game here.
Yeah, I really was not a fan of that second Banshee that saw 8 Marines, 2 tanks, and 4 Vikings and said, I'll just try to sneak in here and pick off a tank. There's the scan, and he was like, oh my god! Immediately evaporated. Which means that I think effectively he's gotten off 2 total shots between 2 Banshees, so it's a lot of money. And oh no! Oh, the third Banshee! Oh no! He cloaks and ends up taking no damage. But there's the rescan. Ugh! Ouch.
Yeah, I mean, the way we've seen Banshees really work out, even against expansions, is to have one harassing the natural while there's another one harassing the main and floating back and forth. But looking in the main base of ThorZaIN, he's even got turrets up to deal with that. So completely ready as he pushes around to the lower edge, the back door of Cloud. He's got a few depots that he's going to have to break through. But does Cloud have siege mode complete? No. Almost complete. He's got a tank out, but he should be able to control space. Got his Marines out with stim. No combat shields thus far. Is it on the way? Yes. But not even halfway. But this could be a dangerous position. Cloud sieging up. Gonna be able to hit 1 tank? Yes. Oh, but
looks like it's doing some serious damage. ThorZaIN already broke through that backside because, as we know, tanks counter supply depots very well. There's the command center from Cloud advancing to that gold. Cloud's not forgetting the fact that as long as he can get more money, he's going to be in good shape. Looks like the weirdest possible formation of tight Vikings there. Just making absolutely certain to pick off anything from air. And it looks like Cloud's going for it. He's darting forward. The Vikings take a good bit of damage, but because ThorZaIN is all pushed back against that wall, he's in relatively good position. So Cloud does manage to clean it up, but at what cost? That was just such an insane amount of damage. And already, ThorZaIN has spotted Cloud's upcoming command center.
Yeah, it's an interesting position because Cloud is really behind in supply. Actually, not that far behind. He was at one point down at 60-something, but now he's at 83 against 89. But he has the gold expansion, so ThorZaIN needs to either take his own expansion or start doing work, and looks like he's deciding to do the former. Gonna siege up just outside his destructible rocks as Cloud pushes forward, eats a big siege tank shot there, taking more and more, and this is not a good idea for Cloud, giving his army away. ThorZaIN up at 94 supply, meanwhile Cloud down at 64, and he gets one tank out of there, but he's only got a handful of Marines to defend his natural. If ThorZaIN just decides to push down the eastern side, could be able to deal a lot of damage here to Cloud's gold base.
Oh, this could be very, very difficult to deal with. There's the scan. He sees that there's the expansion up, but ThorZaIN just has a little bit too much mobility, and now we see ThorZaIn doing the siege up action. This is exactly what we were talking about at the start. That low ground is right next to that high ground. He can just easily use those tanks to siege all those barracks. Nothing really that Cloud can do about it. Will he lose one of those tanks? He does lose the tank, and now Cloud is going to be stimming and swinging back up. Does ThorZaIN have stim yet? No, not quite. It's at about 70%. But still, damage is being dealt, and the gold is down for ThorZaIN.
Yeah, it looks like Cloud deciding to go through the low ground, going to clean up the tanks, but ThorZaIN so mobile actually eats a lot of tank fire there, completely getting cleaned up, and he's got to get these medevacs out of here, actually. One may go down, one gets taken out, the other one going to fly out. Supplies 102 for ThorZaIN, 87 for Cloud, as he still controls that gold expansion, dropping two more mules there. But ThorZaIN is relentless, rallying over to the Xel'Naga. Looks like he may try to push in, but he's got to be careful, actually. Cloud has a lot of units here. He's got a few tanks. If he sieges those up and gets position on his gold base, he may be able to defend this pretty easily. So ThorZaIN, you know, he's in the lead, but it's definitely not over.
I mean, especially look at the money count for Cloud, 2,500. That push in the main killed off so many structures. The Cloud is just trying to rebuild that infrastructure, cannot really do much at all. But if Cloud literally builds like 4 or 5 more barracks, like an absurd amount of barracks, he can easily swing back into the game with an insane amount of macro. But Cloud, no! Why are you advancing forward? This is the worst time to advance. He's sieging up. He needs to pick off the Marines, maybe, but there are already tanks there. And with his damage production, Cloud's going to have absolutely no way to reinforce. I mean, most of his add-ons are only just now getting close to finish, so the gold for Cloud is going to evaporate immediately. The Stim Marine's starting to clean up. Looks like Cloud is doing anything he can to repair. There's a little bit too many tanks from ThorZaIN, and the orbital command is in the deep red, and there it's going to fall.
And putting up the U with the little accent aigu or whatever that one's called. I don't know what that is, but finishing up with the good game, well played. Cloud making, you know, the fundamental mistake. You don't try to attack while your production facilities are not reestablished. This is the same principle. You don't expand and then kind of counter timing attack yourself where you've invested in the expansion, haven't gotten any value in it. That's exactly what Cloud did there. He was putting up those 4 barracks, had reactors coming on all of them, and then decided he needed to push. Had he just sat behind his siege line, got all these barracks up and reinforced with Marines, who knows how the game would have turned out. But as it is, ThorZaIN going to move into the finals here, and we're going to get him a Protoss opponent pretty quick coming up.